Good morning. Gorgias, day 11. Socrates speaking. Then for the purpose of defining one's own guilt, or that of the parents or friends or children, or his country when guilty, Polus, rhetoric is of no use whatever, unless we should on the contrary assume that a man ought to accuse himself first and foremost, and then his kinsfolk, and then any friend who at any time is guilty of wrongdoing, and that he ought not to hide the evil away, but bring it to light, in order that the culprit may be punished, and regain his health. And he should prevail upon himself and the others not to play the coward, but to submit as a patient submits bravely with closed eyes to the knife or cautery of the surgeon, ever pursuing what is good and honourable, and heeding not the pain, but if his guilty deeds be worthy of flogging, submitting to the lash, if of imprisonment to bonds, if of a fine to the payment thereof, if of exile to exile, if of death to death. He should be the first to accuse himself and his kinsmen, and should use rhetoric for the sole purpose of exposing his own misdeeds and ridding himself of the greatest of all evils, wickedness. Are we accept this or not, Polus? So what came to mind is Socrates' trial, where he did propose punishment for himself. And it is so much better to see that punishment that he proposed for himself in light of this, because it's easy to think of the punishment that he proposed for himself as some sort of irony or in some way comical, but I don't think it is. I think he genuinely believes that he is proposing punishment that he deserves, that is fitting to his crimes. And payment is what he proposed, that the state should take care of him for his duties to Athens. And it's funny, of course, that someone at a murder trial, or not a murder trial, a trial that could lead to death, would propose that. But in light of this, it's not actually funny. It's, well, true irony, I guess. Socrates deeply, deeply believed in what he did, in other words. He often says he's convinced that it's all a calling. That the gods laid it upon him to do what he did. And the true effects of that should indeed then be being repaid in kind. Polus. To me it seems fantastic, Socrates, but I suppose it is consistent with what was said before. Then surely we must disprove that, or else this view must follow. Yes, that is so. Then conversely again, if after all it is right to injure anybody, whether it be an enemy or whoever it be, always provided that you have not been yourself the victim of injury by him, for this you must guard against. But if your enemy injures you, you should contrive by every possible means, both by word and by deed, that he escapes punishment and come not before the judge. But if he does appear, you must see to it that your enemy be not sentenced and punished, but that if he has robbed others of a large sum of money, he shall not pay it back, but shall keep it and squander it. in deviance of God and man, upon himself and his friends, and if his crimes are worthy of death, that, if possible, he shall never die, but live forever in his wickedness, or, if not this, shall at any rate live as long as possible in this character. Rhetoric is of service for such purposes, in my opinion, Polus, but does not seem to be of much use for a man who does not intend to do wrong, if indeed it is of any use at all, and our previous discussion has revealed none. So, saying if you really want to punish someone, make sure that they're not getting punished. Another person speaks, Callicles. Tell me, Cypheron, is Socrates in earnest or joking? Cypheron, in my opinion, Callicles, he is in deadly earnest, but there is nothing like asking him. There's something about that, right? Being unable to tell if someone is in earnest or joking. Many a true word is spoken in jest. Callicles, by heaven, that is just what I am anxious to do. Tell me, Socrates, are we to consider you serious now or jesting? For if you are serious, and what you say is true, then surely the life of us mortals must be turned upside down, and apparently we are everywhere doing the opposite of what we should. This really moves me, but for personal reasons. So I'm not going to share. Socrates. Callicles. If mankind did not share one common emotion, which was the same, though varying in its different manifestations, but some of us experienced peculiar feelings unshared by the rest, it would not be easy for one of us to reveal his feelings to another. This I say because I have observed that you and I have now undergone much the same experience. For each one of us is in love with two objects. Why did I read subjects? I with Alcibiades, son of Clinias, and philosophy. And you also with two, the Athenian Demos, and Demos, son of Pelead. I am also in love with two objects or subjects, and one indeed is philosophy. Now I notice on every occasion that, clever though you be, whatever your favorite says and however he describes things to be, you cannot contradict him, but constantly swift to and fro. In the assembly, if any statement of yours is contradicted by the Athenian Demos, that's a clever play on word. The spirit of Athens. And then a guy whose name's Demos as well. You change about and say what it wishes, and you behave much the same toward the handsome young son of Pyrilampes, for you are incapable of resisting the words and designs of your favorite, with the result that if anyone should be astonished at the absurdities you utter again and again under their spell, you would probably say, if you were willing to tell the truth, that unless somebody stops your favorites from saying what they do, you yourself too will never stop speaking thus. You must think yourself bound then to hear much the same things from me, and do not be astonished at my speaking thus, but stop my favorite, philosophy, from saying what she does. It is she, my friend, who says what you now hear from me, and she is far less unstable than my other favorite, for the son of Clinias is at the mercy now of one argument, now of another. But philosophy holds always to the same, and she says what now astonishes you, and you were here when the words were spoken. You must either then prove against her, as I said just now, that to do wrong and evade punishment for wrongdoing is not the worst of all evils. For if you leave this unrefuted, then by the dog that is the god in Egypt, Callicles himself will not agree with you, Callicles, but will be at variance with you throughout your life. And yet I think it better, my good friend, that my lyre, that instrument, should be discordant and out of tune, and any chorus I might train, and that the majority of mankind should disagree with and oppose me, rather than I, who am but one man, should be out of tune with and contradict myself. I do have a feeling that this might be one of Socrates' speeches that are under contention, but I think it's beautiful. I could actually feel the love. Imagine loving so deeply, being so attached to philosophy that you hear her speak, know her ways because you follow her and watch her, contemplate her, daydream about her. Spend as much time in her company as possible. And then not saying anything that contradicts yourself. I'm totally not there yet. For I have many, many contradicting views. So if I say things that contradicts me, it's because I'm not sure. I don't see the truth yet. But I am in love. And I desire to know. May that be enough for now. Until the world is turned upside down. Callicles. Socrates, it seems to me that you run wild in your talk, like a true mob orator. And now you are haranguing us in this way because Polus fell into the very error which he blamed Gorgias for being drawn into by you. Gorgias, he said, was asked by you whether, in case a prospective pupil of rhetoric came to him with it's a long speech, without knowledge of justice, he himself would teach him, and he was shamed into saying he would do so, because the general conventional view demanded it, and men would be vexed if one refused. This is not Socrates speaking, this is Callicles speaking. It was through this admission that he was forced to contradict himself, and that is just what you like. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. So what comes to mind, I didn't read a lot today. It's 15 minutes already. Silence. Maybe the only proper response to being forced to contradict yourself is silence, until you have learned to better organize your loves. Maybe the result of aporia, accepted in silence, the life is that the life of us are turned upside down. Have a beautiful day.